shows and things that are not on a regular match card, our next segment talks about Chelsea Green sharing her backstage reaction following her 2018 Lucha Underground match. And for those of you who don't remember or maybe haven't seen this match before, in the current WWE, Chelsea Green and Penta actually had a match with each other in a former promotion known as Lucha Underground.
Also on
And
Netflix.
Right.
also on Netflix, yeah. And
Is it still on Netflix?
I don't know. I
Don't think so.
honestly, I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
The match is on YouTube, so people should go watch it if they haven't
Yeah.
seen it.
So, of course, they're coworkers today, but they have shared the Lucha Underground pass with each other, and it was a pretty like hard hitting match, and it was something that I feel like Chelsea Green is also kind of pulling her punches, or I mean, in terms of like what she can do, I think she has so much more to contribute to WWE. But of course, over the years, fans called for a rematch. And Green shared on WWE and Unreal that she doesn't think a rematch is in the cards. And speaking to 93.7 The Fan in a new interview, Chelsea Green reflected on wrestling Penta during a Lucha Underground match. She said, "When you're wrestling, I think it's like anything in life. You don't realize they're the good old days. So when I wrestled Penta, I wrestled him. It was awesome. I came to the back. The boys were like, oh my God, that was great. And then I got on a plane and went to the next show and I didn't think anything of it. Now, years removed from it, now I'm like, damn, that was really badass. That might be one of the matches that I'm best known for. That's crazy to me because in the moment, I was just doing my job. There's no difference to me whether I'm wrestling in front of 20 people or 20,000. A man, a woman, I've done it all in my career. I don't do anything different. But then years later, I realized that it made an impact or that people felt a certain way. And around the same time, WWE Hall of Famer Stone Cold Steve Austin also recently commented on Green's work, calling her fearless. And this is also paired with the comments that The Undertaker made when he had, oh my God, why did I just draw a blank? Fabulous Freebirds. Michael Hayes. There you go. He was a guest on the Undertaker's podcast, and Michael Hayes was kind of defending his comments and talked about, kind of her positioning, and he clarified a little bit in his context, but Undertaker underlined that, he feels like she's being underutilized and thinks that Chelsea Green has that it factor. So I want to open up the floor to you guys. So Chelsea admits that she didn't realize that match was a career definer until years later. And I mean, how do you guys feel about the match yourselves? When Chris Paul, when you saw it recently, what did you think of the match?
I thought it was awesome. I mean, they nailed every, spot in this match. It seemed like. I think Penta was a perfect, partner for her in that match. They went through and they just told a really good story. I thought Chelsea, the way, she wrestled, she wrestled in a logical way that a woman would be wrestling a man. She was like kicking him in the nuts, and working that way instead of, and it made it more believable, which I think lends a lot of credibility to a match. And I think that's something that is really important because I'm not super big on the intergender matches unless it makes sense from a story standpoint. Build something up and make it mean something. And I think that's one reason why she doesn't think something with Penta a rematch with Penta would work in today's WWE, because there would have to be some sort of story involved and really lead up to that. And I just don't think that WWE is interested in doing something like that unless they had a unique talent, a woman that was just huge, that would just dwarf all the other females, and to make her and put her over, you put her against a man. But I think from a worker standpoint, I could see why she gained a lot of respect, from the locker room from that, because she really put in an awesome match. It, like what you said, Marcin, it was really gritty. Lucha Underground was so awesome, man. I remember getting into that. I was like, man, this is what wrestling really should be like. They tell really cool stories. they interweave everything. And I really wish, WWE would, look into, taking more of that from, somehow how they do their storytelling and, let their, talent, act more, because I think Chelsea Green she's shown that, she can do, hardcore, more serious stuff, but she's also like funny. She can do comedic stuff. I think you can do anything with her. And there's not a lot of talent, that you can say that about. Like, they can do all the things that you want them to do, in all the different scenarios, and they would, look like $1 million. And I think she's sitting right there. But because, she may not have that certain like look, that people like, Michael Hayes and, certain others that are more from this like, archaic era of WWE. They're looking for those, type of, talents that fit that mold, and she may not be that. But I think that's the type of, wrestlers that fans get behind, the Daniel Bryans, the people that rise up, that they're, that they're not necessarily that they're not the mold, or they're the perfect specimen or whatever, but they have the it factor. And when you go through and put in the kind of work that she did with that, it builds a lot of respect and credibility with the fans too. And I think that's important.
I mean, I agree with that. I think she has the it factor, and I don't think size, should really matter if you tick all the boxes. And for the women, Chelsea Green, she fits right up there, and I just feel like they put a ceiling on her that I think, yes, she can make anything work. You can put her in a dumpster match. You can make her, a comedy skit. You could do everything with her. But I do think that you can't just completely rule out like a WWE Women's Championship match. Like, I think if you really push her and just have stories that like give her that kind of momentum, like I felt like the Money in the Bank match in Toronto, people were really hoping that she was going to win that Money in the Bank match. The crazy fucking spot she did going through those tables, that was crazy. And the things that she's currently doing with now, I think she's actually injured. She's in a wheelchair, but like just making it work with that like gimmick of just being in a wheelchair, the timing, like you can let it be taught, but she has a natural ability to just make it work, and she has that. Chris Housen, have you seen this match before? Or have you seen clips of it? What did you think of this match?
I've seen clips of this match, and I really should get around to watching the full thing, but all I know is that Chelsea Green and Penta are two talented people that I'm sure put on an amazing match. And if they were to replicate it again, it'd be pretty damn close to it. But yeah, like, she's definitely a main card material wrestler that needs more time. And I'm sure with that injury, she's just gonna Kevin Nash it and just stand up. That Kevin Nash gif where he's like in the wheelchair, leg up. She's gonna stand up, and then whatever the situation is. But yeah, she's great.
What do you think of intergender matches in general?
They're fine. I feel like depending on the buildup of the match, it could be comedic. You know what I mean? Depending on the two wrestlers that are in the ring, it could be something really silly, or it could be something that's very more serious or grounded in the sense of like how a match like that might go between male, female, or whatever. So I think it just really comes down to the buildup and the partners in the ring. But Penta and Chelsea Green were a match made in heaven, so to speak.
And can I ask something real quick? Just like throw it out there, like how, like, because I think one of the difficult things you have in these matches is like, because in Penta won in the Chelsea Green match, right? But like, what does that do for the winner if the male wrestler coming out on top?
I pinned a woman,
right? And so it's like, I think it's and so I think in order to do it, you've got to have a longer plan for this. Like, you have to have a plan for like how this is going to go. Because you obviously want to showcase the woman if you're going to be putting her in a match with a man, right? And so, but I think it all just has to, kind of make sense. And I just worry that, like, I don't know if WWE would be able to, pull that off. I think they've got certainly the talent to do it, but I just think, you really have to be careful like who you put in there, because otherwise you're gonna like Disco Inferno, getting beat, was it by Jacqueline, like on like Thunder or Nitro or something, and it just buried you, and so you have to have a way of telling I think a longer story and do something interesting. And I think that would work, but I just don't know if WWE has that long-term storytelling and planning that they'd want to put forth with something like that right now.
Was that the
that
Vince Russo era?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Maybe. But I'll say in that same like era, we did have China, who was an Intercontinental Champion, if I'm not mistaken, or she just had Chris Jericho matches.
But she's also one of those unique talents that I would say, like, like China, like she had
the figure.
Like, and the way they built her up, she was the enforcer for Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and so it led to that. She had a lot of interactions with the other, like baby faces, and so she was in there and it made sense. And so I think you just have to find, a unique female talent that, maybe you could put with, some sort of stable and build something similar to China. It doesn't have to be the same, story or anything like that, but I just think there needs to be some sort of way to introduce them and make them to be some sort of thing, because you have to have them become such a powerful opponent that you would make them believe that they're going to be able to beat whoever their male opponent's going to be. And you don't want to put them against like some wimpy, a jobber, just someone like you'd want to see her go up against, a big top talent, I think. And so you'd have to find a unique, wrestler for that.
I think Recluse or Chelsea Green in that instance, that was like her debut premiere. I don't know if that was her first match, but
I don't remember what the story leading up to it was.
It was one of her beginning matches, because I know that the announcers were talking about her background and that kind of stuff and how she just started and all that kind of stuff during the match. So I think to your point, I agree that there needs to be some kind of story, or if the announcers or the promotion offers some kind of context to why a match like this takes place. I think if you call yourself Lucha Underground, maybe you have because you have that seedy, like anyone can just kind of like fight with each other kind of brand or feel. I feel like that's realistic as long as you sell that image. So to your point, if WWE did it, they haven't been doing that for the longest time. So if WWE just all of a sudden started doing that, I think they have a lot of legwork they need to do to like actually make people believe, like, I don't know.
They were doing Rhea Ripley for a while, weren't they?
Yeah, but that's like different, right? Like, and they've done it before. Like Lita would, jump in there and do like a Hurricane Rana and a Dudley or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, but I think it just has to be the right type of match. But David, what do you think in terms of that match? What did you think of the Penta versus Reclusa match?
I thought it was crazy. Like, I mean, for like first time watching it, I didn't really think anything of it, other than like, damn, she just got beat up.
Yeah,
but
she's a Canadian destroyer.
like, and then now it's like long term. It's like now it's like, okay, you see somebody that understands wrestling. You see somebody that knows how to sell, when to sell, and like just having the IQ to take some of those bumps.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big one too, because I mean, there was some like if you didn't take those bumps correctly, some of those they're moving really fast at high impact. I know Penta's keeping her safe, but she did her part really smartly. Too.
She tucked her head in when she was going on the side of the ring, and he was doing like the small package, like power bomb on the side of the ring, like that shit is crazy.
Did you guys see that reporter get suplexed and nearly get her like neck broken?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, it's like
she took a German.
Is it a different match?
It was for the RAF, like
thing. Real life.
This wrestling. It was like amateur wrestling. And an amateur
Real
wrestler,
American.
she was interviewing an amateur wrestler and on live TV, and they're like, okay, we're gonna do like a suplex, or she's gonna show me a move, and it looks like a German suplex, and it looked like the way the camera angle was, they're like, oh my god, she just broke her neck. but she turned her at the last second, and I was
Wait,
like,
why
oh,
did she agree to doing that? Why did
I don't
they put her
know,
in a
but
suit?
everyone was in
TV.
shock. Yeah, it was
for the
awesome.
views.
For
Oh,
television.
I thought Real American Freestyle was just like, kind of like a vanilla Olympic.
It's television,
No.
bro.
Like,
No.
was it? Yeah, I don't know what their style is.
Raf is
Programming.
basically UFC. The way they try to
Oh,
book it now.
I
Because
see.
now they're also booking like people that like retired MMA, like they could have a a freestyle wrestling match. Like they're invited. Shit, Kurt Angle's part of it now too. I think he's a commentator.
Wait, is that
I mean, that
the
makes
Hulk
sense.
Hogan Bischoff thing?
Yeah.
Real
No, yeah,
American.
they're definitely looking out for like the former Olympians, the former professional MMA.
I mean, I think there's a
people.
market for it, and there's so many kids who do amateur freestyle or amateur wrestling in high school and college and stuff. And not everyone
Olympic
just wants to
sport.
be a pro wrestler. Yeah, I mean, yeah. And not everyone's going to go to the Olympics. So having, an opportunity to hone your craft or, may just show your skills off instead of just going straight from like amateur pro wrestling pipeline, like well, I mean, Kurt Angle went to the Olympics and then he went to WWF.
Brock should show up. That'd be crazy if Brock showed
Yeah,
up.
I mean, just have like those kinds of guys showing up to add some more legitimacy to it. But I mean, I'd say, yeah, go for it.
Derail the conversation. The reason why I was trying to think, like, how did we even get on here? I was just gonna say
The
that
weave.
reporter
German
could have
suplex.
taken some cues from Chelsea Green and to Tucker Jen on some of those.
Yeah.
So
She said, "Ooh." Like,
Do any of you can answer this? Do any of you think that they will ever acknowledge it on TV? Because I don't think Penta or Chelsea ever crossed paths or did a weird look or whatever, right? Do you feel like they would ever give that some
I'm sure they'll give it a
oxygen?
nod.
Yeah, there'd be a
nod.
nod, like walking in the back or something after an interview or something.
You know what I would like to see is put them in a mixed tag match, and then just have her be like tagged in or him be tagged in, and then she's in the ring with him, and she forgets to like tag in her male partner, and then they do some
just
kind
fights.
of move, just a little Easter egg. I think that'd be cool if they're not gonna like do the. I feel like I think there are a handful of women who can make it believable. I think Beth Phoenix, China. I think Rhea Ripley to a certain degree could. Nia Jax, I think she did eliminate some guys in the Royal Rumble, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So there's some women that like if you put them against like a cruiserweight, I think that you can make it believable. But like for
James
me, at the end of the
Ellsworth.
day, it's also James Ellsworth or Jamie Noble.
but then again, like,
guys
what is that really? What's that doing for the woman there?
Right.
Beating up a wimpy dude.
That's true, but like,
And I'm sure there's dudes that pay like a lot of money to see that kind of stuff online, though.
but like, I mean, absolutely. I'm sure there's OnlyFans or some kind of
Pull up the cock chair.
yeah, some kind of Patreon or something. But like, and then at the end of the day, like for me, I like sometimes I overanalyze some things, but I'm like, it's also pro wrestling, so like. If it's a woman versus a man, like if it's entertaining, I don't give a shit. Like
How would you guys book it then? Like, how would you guys book this if you were gonna say like, let's get Chelsea and Penta into a rematch? How would you book it to make it?
Like to make it make sense in WWE?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think it would. I think it would have to be. This is what I'm envisioning. So Chelsea Green has had a lot of chemistry and like an on-screen partnership with Ethan Page. So if you can bring him to the main roster and then somehow have her be tied in with him again in the story, and then Penta, I don't know who would be Lola Vice, maybe bring her in. And then have them just kind of feud with each other, and then you have that opportunity to have interaction. So I think there's absolutely a way if they really want to, because I feel like a lot of people bring that up to Chelsea Green, and again, it is a match that also shows how much she can do, and she has so much more to give. And I do think that the WWE has given her a bit of a ceiling in terms of like what they want her to do versus what she can actually do. And I think like her and Matt Cardona, like they're married. I feel like they also have the same kind of like ready for anything,
Always ready.
Always ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, I just butchered his.
That's
Always
the
ready.
Timu version.
Could you not just
Yeah,
put
the
them together?
Sheehan.
Could you not just make it to where like something happens with like Zack Ryder and Penta, and like she gets involved somehow?
Oh,
and
that's the other
stay
thing.
on, like,
I
the
honestly
personal
didn't. I
thing?
forgot like Matt Cardona was on the main roster already. So I guess they don't need Ethan Page. So
He's
they get
only
like Matt
feuding with
Cardona.
Randy Orton.
Yeah, right. So I mean, but like they're on SmackDown and then Penta's on Raw, so they'd have to shake it up a bit. But yeah, Cardona, Green, like indie, gods, deathmatch kings and queens. I think if you give them some kind of feud, if they have nothing to do, I
Like
think
a table,
that
like a TLC, like lead up, like pay per view would be pretty badass.
Texas
absolutely.
Death, AEW
Yeah.
style.
Oh, I'm sure
Yeah.
Tony Khan is salivating at the thought of ever getting, Chelsea Green.
That'd be yeah,
If she ever left it.
Oh, for sure. So I think we can end there and we can go to